Hey guys, Chris Honeycutt here with some more Thursday Thoughts. This is the new podcast version of our Thursday Thoughts, and I hope it encourages you and gives you some targets for growth. Today we're going to be talking about servant leadership. I wanted to start my podcast by talking about this very subject because it had such deep impact on my life. I can remember back at my time at Southeastern University under the guise of President Mark Rutland. Mark Rutland is an evangelist and pastor, and he is a great man of God, but he was also so wise in the area of leadership. I learned so much about leadership in my time at Southeastern. I had many leadership opportunities, but I also got to see real leaders lead, and that's something that made a significant impact on my life. And the essence of servant leadership, I believe we can find in John chapter 13. Jesus poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that is why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you'll be blessed if you do them." You see, Jesus was showing us what servant leadership is like. We think the servant should serve the leader, when in fact the leader, if he is a great leader, serves others. You know, my mentor John Maxwell once said, "The heart of leadership is based on serving others, not ourselves." And this is where we have to realize that if we want people to follow us, do what we tell them to do, we must, one, lead by example, but two, invest in them, encourage them, and yes, guide them into where you want them to go. And this is how you become a great leader. Good leaders can bark at them. Good leaders can give orders, they can give schedules. Great leaders encourage people to be at their highest potential. And this is where we want to be in life. That's where I continue to strive to be in life. I want to be a great leader. And I can't be a great leader unless I serve others. So in your growth in leadership, you must realize that the higher up you go, the more people you will serve. What I know about leadership is that it's not about titles. It's not about achievements. It's about purpose. It's about potential. It's about goals. And you can't do that alone. If you want people on your team, you're going to have to do more in serving them. What does serving them look like? You know what? It's about where instead of them coming to you and them trying to serve you and them trying to meet your needs as a leader, think of it as a secretary in the morning bringing the tray of coffee and pastries to the CEO, the president, whatever it might be in your head. This is where instead, how about the president checks in on all of his staff, goes around the office, goes around the room and checks in with them and just sees what their life is like right now, how he can help them. This is where, again, I try and practice this myself. I have a routine. If these things are good for anything, it's to check in with people. It's to encourage people. It's to let them know that you care, to let them know that, hey, you're thinking about them and even better yet, praying for them. But it's where you want to do your part as a leader. And your part may look a little bit bigger than other people's parts because more is going to be expected of you, not less. In fact, again, going up the ladder in life, more responsibilities are coming your way. If you're ready for that challenge, that means you have to grow. And that means that you have to grow in ways that maybe you didn't think you needed to. When we think of growth, we think of intellect. We think of physical prowess. We have to get to a gym. We have to go to a library. We have to get this degree or something like that. But for growth, that really comes out of experience. When I talk about my time at Southeastern, I talk about the leadership opportunities that I had. I was a saved kid, really, my sophomore year of college. I transferred colleges to this Bible college down in Florida. I didn't know a soul down there, but something led me down there. I got so many great opportunities to lead people, people that saw some of my passion and experience, and they gave me opportunities to lead others. So at one point in time, I led a political group on campus. A political campaign heard what I was doing. They wanted me to lead all their volunteers for that whole region. Then I was also the radio station manager. I was also a leader in a young adult ministry at a church locally. I also took 21 credit hours a semester, and I basically didn't have a life. But it's where I worked and worked and worked because, one, I had drive. I had purpose. I knew where God was wanting to take me, and therefore I had to do my part. I had to become the leader that I knew God was wanting me to be. So in my free will end of things, I had to accept responsibilities. I had to be a servant leader. I had to let people shine, not me. This is where I recognize people's gifts. I recognize their talents. I recognize their own experience. And you'll discover that people are more capable than you think that they are. So let's focus this conversation a little bit more. You know, John Maxwell has 5 guidelines on becoming a better servant leader. The first one, I don't rely on my position or title. That means you don't lead by your accomplishments. At the end of the day, no one cares what title you have. The significance comes into what you mean to them. Some of the best leaders I've come across in my life don't go by their title. They might very well be a doctor, but they might go by Mark or Sarah. You know what? This is where you have to realize you are just a human being. You're just a person like everybody else. If you go by your title because you've earned it, well, really, that's not going to win you any favor with anybody except for yourself. You're going to get more prideful. You're going to puff that ego up. Number 2, I choose to believe in people and their potential. As in, people's potential increases the more that I serve them. This is where I always try and find people that are starving for someone to notice not their title, but who they can be. A lot of people, when they get to where they want to be in life, they do have that puffed up ego. But for those that are still growing, still on that journey to get where they need to be, this is where I want to bring out the potential in them. So as a leader, I give them not only opportunities, I give them some leverage. I give them some power, something I've learned in my life, whether it's church ministry, whether it's consulting, whatever it might look like, that the more that I let people own what they do, the more potential is drawn out. Number 3, I try to see things from the perspective of others. That means you serve others when you know and respect their point of view. Some of the best leaders that I've ever come across ask for input from their team. They ask their opinion. They say, what would you do in this situation? Hey, what do you think we should do with this or that or the other? And what that does, it helps that team member have a stake in the game. And it's where we are looking to them not only for their input, not only to get something out of them, but for them to grow, for them to realize that they are important and they have a voice and they have significance to that team. And the leader is going to draw that out of them. Number 4, I work to create an environment of encouragement. Guess what, guys? There is an encouragement deficit in our country. We might have a lot of inflation, but people are feeling deflated in a lot of ways right now. Times are tough, and you know what? There isn't enough encouragement out there. You might see a lot on social media. You might see a lot in the news, but sometimes I just have to tune a lot of that stuff out. Because why? Because it discourages me. Now, this is where I want to encourage people. So I try not to put a whole lot of negative stuff on my social media. We have enough of that already. This is where we want to encourage others. So if you're a leader that likes to encourage and consistently encourages and checks in, what that does, it says you care and you want to see them at their best. You want to see them joyful and happy and at peace. We have a lot of leaders who historically tear people down. Now, you can't be a sunshiner all the time. You can't always just say, you know what, you're just doing great when they're really not. You have to find some balance, but always tilt the balance of your leadership towards encouragement. And last but not least, I measure my success by how much value I add to others. You know, one of the taglines of being part of the Maxwell leadership team is I say that I add value. I want to add value to other people. I want to add value to opportunities. I want to add value to environments. And it's where, as a leader, we want to add value, as in it's increasing in value. It's increasing in its worth, so to speak. Team success is your success when you're a servant leader. You need to help your team win. You can't just be that distant coach that says, here's the playbook, go run the plays. No, you have to coach people through the different steps of the process. You have to sometimes just grab someone by the collar and say, look, here's what you're supposed to do. I know you can do it. Because sometimes people need a wake-up call. And that means that I'm going to take the time, and everything's a quotient. Time is money, but it's where I'm going to take the time to invest in someone. So for me, that looks like a lot of coffee meetings. Looks like a lot of lunch meetings. Looks like a lot of text messages and phone calls. It looks like a lot of things that where I'm just constantly in this communication stream. I love face-to-face meetings the most, but if I can't do face-to-face, I'm going to call them. If somehow they can't take a phone call, I'm going to text them. And so we never make communication impersonal. I try and always find a way to add some encouragement or some lightheartedness to everything that I do, because life is serious enough as it is. It shows that, hey, you're not just there to get something out of them. They have the potential to do it. You want to be on this team if you weren't able to do it. It's always better to say, you know what, you can do this, rather than, I don't know if you can pull this off. So that's where I have seen my growth as a leader. I'm not perfect. I'm always growing myself. But this is where the benefit of being a coach with the Maxwell leadership team, I'm able to take not only my experience, because again, I'm only 42 years old. I'm able to take a lot of gold, as John Maxwell calls it, leadership gold, and share it with others. I'm able to ask questions. I'm able to guide them in processes. I can help teams, organizations, businesses grow, not because I've been the biggest business magnate or the pastor of the largest church on the block, but because I know the principles of growth. And growth comes with good leadership. And good leadership is servant leadership. So I'm going to leave you with a question, something to do some introspection with, and it's a simple question. It's the adding value question. What can I do for people to help them succeed? Now I'm going to repeat that again, because repetition helps. What can I do as a leader for my people to help them succeed. Servant leaders define their success as their team's success. Therefore, they focus on helping others succeed. So how can you do that with your team? Now, maybe you're saying, I don't have a team. Okay, well, maybe one day you will. Maybe it's still in process of growing. Maybe you have a team and you don't know how to be a servant leader. You're just in a system of leadership that has this hierarchy, and you have to kind of abide by that. That's not leadership, that's management. That's a totally different world than what we're talking about today. So this is where, if you want to be a leader, serve others. That's it for Thursday Thoughts. Have a great day.